Have you ever watched the movie you wanted to,
Science fiction.
the minute you wanted to, or gotten a phone call
Hello.
on your wrist?
How was your day?
Just beautiful.
You will. And the company that'll bring it to you, AT&T.
What? In 1993? How did they know this in 1993? Who made this commercial for AT&T in 1993?
We hear it all the time. How did you guys do this? How did you know this? Did you go into the future and then come back and do this commercial? Well, it turned out that we traveled to the future, and the future was Bell Labs. We went to New Jersey.
That's true.
And that was the future.
AT&T had Bell Labs as their division that explored innovations.
People that invented the laser, the transistor, a million other incredible innovations.
And this was all hidden. People generally didn't know about this.
People thought of us as, oh, that's Ma Bell, and sure, that's the phone on my desk or the phone at my house.
They wanted to look like a modern, cutting-edge company.
I got the job and I thought this could be fun. It was a very straightforward concept. It was just about execution. And ultimately it was just about making sure that you could kind of present stuff as simply as possible. It's always an interesting thing, to do a project where you get to kind of build stuff that you can imagine.
You will became a saying that people were repeating all over the place. Late night TV, comics were using it, they did their own skits.
Timing was perfect. We probably couldn't have done it earlier, and we probably couldn't have done it later and have it have been as impactful as it was. We saw it as an epic opportunity. And, we had been gifted this opportunity.
It's amazing how almost everything came about.
They captured the human element of what AT&T can do to enable everybody to communicate anywhere, anytime. Everyone related to that. It was human.
I'll have to try and figure out which one it was.
So this world we live in is highly connected, highly digitized. What do you see in the future? What's going to happen? How are our lives going to change?
We're going to be talking to each other instead of a device. That really increases the amount of time that we spend with each other in the real world. If in the future, we're going to be looking at each other, we're going to have more information that's augmented, that the screens will just disappear.
This is exactly right. So I don't see any real indications that what we want to do is use technology to be less engaged with other human beings.
I think about how we create spaces that, open us up together for communication and connection. I'm really curious about software and hardware and how then we implement that in actual cities. What if our buildings weren't just 4 square walls and we build virtual glass walls that can constantly be computing, constantly be taking us someplace else in an office, or we're outside in a park?
I think cities will become much more efficient. I'm sort of hoping that there will at some point be a circular city, so where everything is reused, recycled, and that will be enabled by technologies like artificial intelligence, like sensors that are sort of in the concrete, in the buildings.
As a designer in the film industry in, say, 25 years, what am I to look forward to?
When you think about, the future, movies are going to become a lot more like gaming. We're not going to worry about where the camera is because the camera will be everywhere. If you think about, we're sitting around in a room, if I don't like the seat that I'm in, I get up and I move to another seat. Imagine being able to do that inside of a movie.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I think that having some entity, whether we call it a robot or an AI assistant, There has to be an intention built into the machines themselves to develop robots that are educational, that are caretaking, that have empathy.
One of the great things about robots is that they don't get impatient with human beings if they're programmed not to.
Yeah.
So I think about elderly people with dementia. I think about kids on the autism spectrum who need a lot of training about how to interact with other human beings.
There are opportunities for AI not to be just doing recurring tasks, but there is this emotional, personal touch. One of the things that we were very fascinated about is that how can technology enable us to leave a digital print of us 100 to 300 years from here?
I would have loved for my father to have been able to teach my son baseball, how to pitch, because he was a pitcher, but he had passed away already when my son was born. So if I could use that kind of technology where he could be teaching my son how to pitch, that would be awesome.
Let's say you have a smart piece of clothing that's monitoring your health. It's monitoring your blood, it's monitoring your heartbeat, and suddenly it sees that your heart has stopped. The ability to send a drone out immediately with a defibrillator, that's a technology that could save hundreds and hundreds of lives around the world.
We could also have a lot of other wearables and our homes equipped with sensors that can do this continuous monitoring of our health so that we can be much more proactive about taking care of ourselves.
What you're going to see in the future are nanobots that either release medicine or maybe fight disease. That, to me, is going to change healthcare forever. It's going to change the mortality rate in our country and around the world.
When I was learning to scuba dive, the first time you put your head underwater and then take a breath is a terrifying experience because you're so deeply wired not to do that. The second time is really interesting. After that, you're just breathing. The technology fades into the background super quickly. So the first time that my toothbrush tells me, you need to go to the doctor, right? Something is going on that I detected in your saliva. That's a crazy sci-fi moment. The third time my toothbrush tells me to go to the doctor, it'll probably make the appointment for me. I'm just gonna take myself off to the doctor.
I'm imagining every child has an AI assistant at home that helps you with your homework, recognizes that the child learns by playing and learns by doing. So the AI assistant recognizes that and creates a very individualized education.
This is going to be very revolutionary in terms of how we learn, how we think, and how kids around the world really collaborate with each other.
I still believe technology is intended to connect us, not separate us. And so when it comes to education, I think that connection and being physically together is important.
Being able to go on a field trip, not just to the local zoo, but actually go on a field trip to somewhere else in the world.
Let's say a child goes on a safari, and that is a part of the curriculum, right? We're going to take you on safari, we're going to show you these animals, and all of the children are wearing digital contact lenses where there's an augmented amount of information that tells you what the lion eats and what their migration patterns are. So suddenly, it's an immersive, experiential learning process.
The concept of a physical location for a university or college will practically disappear.
What are some examples of some new technologies, how our day-to-day life could change? Like shopping.
I mean, let's just say that. There's shopping, and then there's shopping.
Like going to the supermarket at the end of a long day to get your groceries is not something that's necessarily a fun thing. I still want to be able to pick my own tomatoes, but I don't want to have to go to the supermarket to do it. I want to be able to sit in my house and touch that tomato and make sure I pick the right one. We could envision that because today there's already some technologies that you can put on the tomato, on an avocado, and start to feel some of the textures.
The retail experience is going to evolve. What you might like, it'll be very tailored to you.
I think what's going to happen is we're going to have an avatar that has our direct measurements in real time, right? Because our measurements change.
What if my avatar could try on all my clothes? It knows exactly my size, it's all to scale. And I could see what I look like in those shoes with that outfit. And if I liked it, boom, I want that outfit. And then it comes to me wherever I am.
An automobile is the second most expensive purchase households make. And for the most part, the car sits idle. No one will own a car in 25 years.
I think
All the cars will be replaced by autonomous cars, and there will be a complete controlled traffic system, and it will reduce traffic incidents to almost zero.
We could avoid ever having another person lost to drunk drivers. That should never happen.
So how is that going to happen? Well, that car has to make really fast decisions. That decision-making can't reside 1,000 miles away. You can put it into the network edge. So now it's not just one car that gets to use it, multiple cars can use it, it can be shared.
What does the inside of the car look like? What is the interaction? What are we doing? If we're facing each other, are we playing games? Are we having dinner? I mean, I love that. I love being able to get into my car with friends.
Let's go to New York and have dinner while we drive. It's really trying to find the balance of how do you have this futuristic experience, but how do you still stay human?
We're at a point today where maybe we've gone a little too far on the technology side because we're looking down a lot and we're not looking at the world around us. And it's important to look at the world around us because it's that world that inspires us to create that future technology.
The optimistic notion is that we take advantage of this incredible opportunity that technology gives us to reinforce the ties between people, the social capital, the things that make life worth living, and we do a better job and a richer job of that in 25 years' time than we're doing today.